So here I am cleaning the plate. That's vinegar and water I'm spraying. And I've already coated the plate with Home Strip, as shown here. There's a link in the description below which tells you a bit more about it and where to find it in the UK. It comes off quite easily, but you need a good firm brush. Here I am pouring some Brasso onto the plate, and this process you can't sort of hurry. You need to really remove every bit of ground, every bit of ink if you're later in the process, until the plate is really shining. And like I say, don't rush this step. If you do, you'll end up with all sorts of little blemishes and marks in the print that are hard to identify why they occurred. Likewise, here I am degreasing the glass surface. I'm using whiting and soy sauce. Yes, soy sauce. This is also used, and again, don't rush, on the plate itself to make sure that the plate is completely grease free. Don't rush, rub every little bit, and as you proceed, stop holding it with your fingers on the front. When it's all looking nice and clean, clear it with the water. Here I am just marking up registration on newsprint that will go underneath the polypropylene sheet that protects the bed of the printing press. After the newsprint has been marked, you can see the registration there drawn around the paper, and a centre mark on the paper itself, on the back side of the paper, which allows me to repeat the position of the paper and get it accurate every single time. The plate is ready now. It's been degreased. The ink I'm using is a bone black ink from Cranfield. I'm activating it with the knife there just to get it warmed up a little bit. This really seems to make a difference to the ink. So just getting that a bit lively. And then I'm using an old membership card from the Tate. Thank you, Tate. This is an ideal way of applying the ink to the, and a non-slip mat there, to the plate. Some people recommend using old sections of mounting board or grey board. I've tried this, but sometimes, depending on the quality of the board, you get little scratches, you get little chips in the fibre of the paper, and that doesn't happen with the membership card. Other membership cards are available. Now onto the wiping. Again, you don't rush here. This first process is to distribute the ink that has been put on with the card a little bit more evenly. To get a nice dark even layer, and to actually distribute it around the edges there. You can see I'm wearing latex gloves here, and I pop those on after sprinkling my hands with talc. It helps get them off again afterwards. Bit of an ER moment. So there's the plate coming together. The dirty tarlatan is then replaced with a tarlatan that has been used before but isn't so densely populated with ink. This allows you to actually see the detail on the plate coming through, and then an even cleaner tarlatan ball to keep on removing the ink as we go. You don't want to be pressing too hard, or else you start removing the ink out of the grooves. You don't want to do that. You want to be going across the surface of the plate. If the tarlatan gets a little bit loaded with ink, you can see I'm sort of touching it off on the glass a little bit there. And then eventually, after this period of wiping, it's really starting to come together. But again, do not be tempted to rush to print here. There's all sorts of little things you need to be looking out for, especially on the corners and on the edges. Just looking for uniformity of ink that remains over the plate. One continues. Yep, it's a long process. Finally, the last step is to actually use tissue paper and the heel of your hand, and then just keep removing one last layer of ink so that the whites of the plate will actually be realised. And there we start to see the shine of the plate coming through. Substantial amounts of ink remain in the etched sections of the plate, but and there will be an element of plate tone in certain areas, but where the plate has been well and truly polished, it shines nicely, and that will give you a very pleasant white. I've been soaking some Somerset 650 gram paper for about 35 minutes, and then I'm just putting that between some towels just to sort of level out the amount of moisture in the paper. It doesn't have to be in there for long, you just need to take the excess moisture out of the paper, and you just use your forearm, sweep across like that. Now I'm laying the plate down, and I'm holding a little bamboo skewer there. You can buy them in most cookery shops and garden centres. A very useful way of actually helping the plate get onto those registration lines, and then just nudge it a little bit without getting any fingerprints anywhere. There may be other options that you discover that suit you better, but the bamboo does it for me. So now we're taking the sheet of nicely soaked Somerset, and although my hands are clean, they're probably not ideal for touching the paper nevertheless, and just good to get into a habit of holding with little offcuts of paper. Carefully placing down penciled registration marks, and then you can use pressure just to lift those little handles away. And there it is. I'm now going to place over the top another sheet of newsprint, which will just help absorb any moisture and keep the wetness of the actual print backing from the swan blankets that are now going over the top. Having gone through the press, let's see what we've got. And there is our first proof print. Just lines and hatching at this stage, but it gives us some hints as to the way forward. This is my homemade spraying booth. and there's the plate ready, degreased by the way, again, ready to be sprayed with the Lascaux aquatint spray resist. There are links in the description here that explain more about the products used. That's a little venting hole in the top where the vacuum cleaner goes in. That will make more sense in a minute. You'll see that there's a little mesh over there at the top. That acts as an extractor because you really do not want to be breathing the airbrush fumes, the vapours from the acrylic. That's the model of airbrush I'm using, only a water eclipse just passing by there. It's not as big as that in real life, of course. And what you want to be doing here is starting to spray away from the plate. Here's a little graphic that shows you what I mean, and go down in a sort of zigzag repeatedly over the plate until you get about 50% coverage. You don't want to obviously completely cover the copper plate. You want something looking similar to that after you finish spraying, about 50%, so that the mordant can actually bite through the acrylic.